remote learning strategies to engage students in meaningful discussion. And we're gonna take a look at a couple tools for you to use in combination with Zoom and in combination with the tools that you already use. Maybe you use some of these tools already, and hopefully I'll show you a few different protocols that you can try in your virtual classrooms. Now, you'll see that I subtitled this a hybrid approach, and that's exactly what I am encouraging people to do, is to take these tools that we have that students use already, like WhatsApp, like Google platforms, and include them in a combination in your classroom. Okay, my slides are already not advancing here. Give me 1 second here. I'm using a new computer today, and it is, for some reason, giving me a little trouble. So what we're going to do first is we're going to just have a short discussion about how to use WhatsApp. You know, guys, if you just give me 1 second, I'm trying to get out of these slides and I can't. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is I may have to present my slides in a sort of smaller view for you guys. But what we're first gonna do is we'll talk about our agenda for the day. I am first going to talk about using WhatsApp voice messaging as a tool for engagement in classroom dialogue. We're gonna do this first. You guys will get a quick peek at how I use this, and then we'll return to it at the end. But we will be using WhatsApp during this webinar, and I'll be posting some materials out that way. Next, we're gonna look at Google Docs as a platform for teamwork and collaboration. If you're not familiar with Google Docs, it's a great way to share text with your students, and you can have many students looking at the same text at the same time, making comments at the same time. So what you have is sort of a community reading and a community discussion document. I'll show you that second. And then finally, we're going to go back to WhatsApp and look at how we can share materials and reinforce vocabulary with specific prompts and what I call the vocabulary menu. Before we proceed any further, though, I want to just read this notice for you guys. This is sort of a photography release form in a slide. So I'll just read this out. Participants of this webinar are advised that images and screenshots may be collected by the Office of English Language Programs in Nur-Sultan and American Spaces. And these images may be shared or displayed online in contexts related to language education and the language programs supported by the US Department of State. So yeah, just know that we may be taking pictures, we may be recording, but of course this will only be shared with other teachers and to promote events just like this. Okay, again, as I said, I don't want to waste too much time today because we have a lot to do. So what I'm going to have you guys do is I'm going to have you jump in and start talking to each other immediately. We are on Zoom right now, and I'm sure that you guys have used Zoom in the past couple months as you've been teaching. So we're going to start off with a short discussion about benefits and drawbacks of Zoom. I want to do this very quickly because it's just sort of an example. But here are the steps. If you can, if you see here on my slide, our first step is I'm going to ask you to make a voice recording, okay? And I will put up on the screen the prompt and some sentence starters for you. And that's what I always do for my students. Give them a very direct prompt, give them a few sentence starters or some vocabulary that they are expected to use in their response. Now, after everyone in your group has, well, maybe not everyone, after you see some voice messages in your group, we move to the second step. And I want you to respond to some of your group mates in text form, okay? Simply by pressing the reply arrow on your WhatsApp and just respond to something that one of your group mates said, okay? Now, I always include a response with this type of conversation because this shows me that students are not only speaking and practicing speaking, but they are also practicing listening and writing and reading other people's responses. So I'm going to put the prompts up here for you guys. Can everybody see this prompt and these sentence starters? Okay, they should be up there on the screen for you. Now, you were sent a link for a WhatsApp group. So I'm gonna have you guys go onto your phone, go into your WhatsApp group and begin recording voice messages, okay? Now we're only gonna do this for about 5 minutes. So please try to record, you know, in about 3 minutes and then start responding to other people, okay? So voice recording first and then replying to people in text. If you do not have a WhatsApp link, I'm going to send them in the chat right now in Zoom. But please check your email first because I want many different groups and I split the numbers. So please check your email first. If you did not receive an email with a WhatsApp link, I'm sending it in the chat now. Okay, you guys can start voice recording, answering this prompt. What are some of the benefits, drawbacks of using Zoom to conduct classes? Okay, go, we've got 5 minutes. I'm going to stop the screen share just for a moment, just so I can post the links, and then I'll share the same slide again with the prompt. Okay, there are 2 links that I've just shared. If you need to join a WhatsApp group, you did not get the email, please click one of those links.
Ready?
Yep.
There's Tatiana and she can't enter her group. She says, My group is number 3, but I can't enter it.
Okay, well, if you try one of the links that I posted on the group chat in Zoom. If one does not work, you can try the other one. Okay, so I see we have some voice messages already in each of the WhatsApp groups. So because we need to move quickly through these activities, I'm going to ask you now to highlight one of the, listen to these comments from your group mates and reply to one of them. Again, your responses are in text. This way we can see what you are responding to. We can sort of see the topic and try to give us some information about what you are responding to. We'll take about 2 more minutes. Excuse me. Okay, take another minute and just finish up your comments. I hope you can see the dialogue that's starting to develop on your WhatsApp group.
Question from Yenova. She's raising her hand.
Okay, all right. I'm on my. Yes, let's take the question. You can unmute and just ask. Yes. Okay, so guys, I'm going to have us discuss. We had 4 WhatsApp groups, just so that you had smaller conversation to keep track of. And so I'd like to just discuss very quickly. Let's have somebody from group 1 tell us a little bit about what they saw in the conversation. Maybe give us one advantage, one disadvantage, and I will put the prompts back on the screen here. Okay, so let's get somebody from group 1, if I can get a volunteer to give us a benefit and a drawback. You can unmute and just begin speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, no one from group 1. Let's move to group 2. Can I have someone from group 2 tell us one of the benefits or drawbacks that the people in their WhatsApp group have mentioned today?
Okay, can I say
Yes, please.
I'm from group 1, but I don't know, one of the benefit of using Zoom to conduct the classes was that we can cover a lot of students once, we can share the presentation, and the drawbacks, which I heard was that students easily got distracted and they don't usually listen to the teacher, and it can be really a big disadvantage of using Zoom during the class.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with the distraction issue there. And we can certainly reach more. So, I mean, right now we have 83 participants on this call. That's certainly more than I could fit in a normal classroom at a conference or something. Let's get maybe one more person to share an advantage, disadvantage. This is a long conversation, but we're going to have to make it short today. Let's have one more volunteer for an advantage and disadvantage.
Hello, everyone. Can I try?
Please.
One of the advantages of using Zoom or WhatsApp apps during the classes is to keep social distance. And during the pandemic, this is very topical.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's the big benefit for everybody. It allows us to keep safe, and I think we're all learning a lot. We're all learning very quickly about Zoom and some of these other platforms. So I think that's one of the benefits of this pandemic. Guys, we're gonna do more with WhatsApp a little bit later on. But I want to just talk about for a moment about some of the benefits of Zoom and disadvantages that I've noticed. I think that Zoom can be a very beneficial platform for bringing a group together, for a teacher to give instructions, slides, and sometimes for group discussion. Breaking rooms is one of Zoom. You're able to, we have 83 people on right now, and we're able to break up into small groups for conversation. However, there are some disadvantages that many of you mentioned that, that are fresh in my mind also. There are distractions with Zoom. It's very difficult to keep track of all of your students. We can't see them all at the same time. It's difficult for us to see who needs to be encouraged, or who is thinking about an answer, or who maybe has an answer and is just a little too shy to speak up. In a normal classroom, we can look around the room, we can read the room and make those decisions. It's much more difficult on Zoom. One thing that I've also noticed is that Zoom can allow shy students to go even further into the background. And I know from my experience in Kazakhstan, there are often, I'll say, dominant students that do a lot of the talking in the classroom. And that means that sometimes some other students don't get a chance to speak. Now, what I like about using this type of protocol on WhatsApp is that everyone has a chance to speak. And you saw that in the voice recordings. Everyone had a chance to record their voice, to contribute, and to be responded to by their group mates. The other advantage of this is that as a teacher, I can see who participated. I can give points for the day for participation because I have a record of everyone's comments. I can also give feedback later. I know that that can sometimes take a lot of time, but I think it's worth doing sometimes, because to speak to your students one-on-one, maybe recording your own voice later, and talk to them about their idea, or talk to them about maybe their pronunciation or their usage of a vocabulary word, to make that personal connection is great. And it's not possible to do that with everyone in a live conversation on Zoom. So this gives you the opportunity to reply later after class or between classes. And I've had a lot of success with that, and my students seem to appreciate it. Okay, we're gonna come back to WhatsApp at the end of the session, but I wanna get to Google Docs because I think that this is something that might be new for more people, okay? And what we're going to do is a group annotation activity, okay, using Google Docs. Now, the word annotation has many different meanings in education and in literature, and I want us to just review what I mean here for the purposes of language education. So yeah, we're thinking, what is annotation exactly? And I'm going to show you a few examples from my work in New York City. I worked for many years as a middle school teacher, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So if you're a middle school teacher, I think you're gonna see some of this work and say, okay, yeah, that looks like it would work in middle school at the middle school level. Now, annotation. What is annotation? I'll just read this slide out. Good readers know that it is nearly impossible to comprehend and retain larger amounts of text without staying very active in the reading process. Whether reading paper-based text or digital text, one of the most effective ways to read actively is through annotation, which means marking and taking notes in a text in some way. Okay, well, this sounds simple. Just take notes, right? And that's exactly what I remember hearing. Just take notes. And I remember looking around and looking at my classmates, and everyone was writing on the paper. But we didn't get a lot of direction for teachers what any system to use for taking notes, or what we should be thinking about when we take notes. And so encouraging students with a mission while they're taking notes is really important. I'm going to show you a couple different styles. Okay, can everybody still see the slides? Thumbs up. Okay, all right, great. So yeah, annotation is a critical strategy teachers can use to encourage students to remain focused on a text and to interact with a text. And I think that that is really the most important word in this sentence: interact with the text. It is more than just underlining important ideas. I've seen many times in my middle school teaching experience, students will underline an entire paragraph. And it's a lot of work, and it doesn't give you very much information about what is important in that paragraph. Annotation facilitates a deeper understanding of passages and encourages students to read with a purpose. Okay, so there are different approaches to this. There are some teachers use text symbols for annotating, okay? That makes it pretty fast for students just to go through and use this system of annotation to show what is important, to show what is surprising, to show their thinking. I've also seen teachers use color coding. You can see in this picture here, the interesting parts are highlighted in blue, new is in green, difficult is in sort of orangey red. And there are also some more artistic, creative ways to do this with pictures. There are a lot of different styles for this, and I'm going to show you my style in a second, but you might be wondering how this can work without paper for students to write on, right? We're in a place where there's no paper, there's no pencils at this point. And this is what it looks like on Google Docs. So what you're looking at here is a screenshot of an article that I found online, and I copied and pasted it into a Google Doc. After that, I shared the Google Doc. You can see the share button on the upper right-hand side, and I shared it with the email addresses of my students. And I allowed them to be commenters. And if you look at these comments here, this is an article that was about studies showing that teenagers should wake up later and go to school later. And of course, my students loved this idea. They thought, okay, this is fantastic research. We should go to school later and sleep later. But I want you to pay special attention to what's happening on the right-hand side. Okay, and we're going to start with some of these students. We have Kiara, who's from Ecuador, Justin Lin, whose family came from China when he was 2 or 3 years old, Alvin Cordoso, who comes from a Mexican family, and Efe Mert Balkinli came from a Turkish family. So welcome to 6th grade in Brooklyn, New York City, a very diverse place, and we have all different types of students. It's great. But let's look first at Kiara's comment. Now she highlighted a sentence, and she said, "This shows that a lot, or most seniors are sleeping less than recommended. Some seniors are sleeping less than 7 hours." So Kiara here is taking a sentence, she's sort of paraphrasing, she's summarizing, and she's making it easier for her to understand and for her classmates to understand, because they will see this comment. Now, one step down, Kiara has a question, and she asks, what does exhausted mean? Okay, there are some little grammar mistakes here because these are English language learners. And Justin says exhausted means tired. And Alvin comes in and he also says, or not enough to sleep. These are students helping students here in a very social way. And I really believe that education works best when it is social. And in isolation, we have to find ways to keep this social connection for students. So there, and this whole article is marked up by students, different questions, different explanations, and I'll show you the annotation prompts I usually use. Okay, so I'm going to be sending you to your articles soon, and we're going to make some comments in this same way. I'm going to have you read your individual articles. I have 4 groups, and I'm going to ask you to use these prompts to make comments. Okay, I want to look at each one of these because each one has a sort of special purpose. These are 5 group annotation prompts that work for nonfiction texts. Okay, the first one is, I am surprised that. Okay, so this sentence starter allows students to share sort of maybe the most exciting idea that they found in the text, the thing that really popped out to them as most interesting. The second one, I already knew that. I love this one because it allows students to share what they already know about a topic. Our students, they have internet access, they are reading, they are watching YouTube outside of class, and they have knowledge to bring into the class and to share with their classmates. So this gives them the opportunity to be the producer of knowledge and not only the consumer. The next one, this is one that we saw Kiara use in that example slide. This means, or this shows that, this is a great opportunity for you to paraphrase or to summarize a piece of the text to make it understandable for yourself or for your classmates. It's in order to share and make things easier for your classmates. The next one, I want to know. It's always an important step for our students to, yes, think about what they are reading, but also think about the connections to other topics you have studied, or maybe to things that are happening in the world right now. So this gives students a chance to sort of think about the next step. What do they want to know? Maybe what is missing from the article. Maybe they feel like there are some facts, questions that didn't get answered by the article. And then finally, just 3 question marks for an unknown vocabulary word. Okay, let's try not to use too much Google Translate today. I think if you are curious about a word, just put those question marks on it, and let's see if our group mates can come to the rescue and give us a definition for that word. Okay. Now I'm going to stop my screen share for a minute here. I'm going to switch to my Google Docs screen, and I'm going to show you how to make the comments. Okay. Give me just one moment. Okay, so as you can see, I have my internet browser up. I have an article here, and the title of this article is "Can Dogs Sniff Out Lung Cancer?" Okay, we have 4 different articles today. 2 of them are about, I don't want to give too much information, but 2 of them are about cancer, and 2 of them are about malaria, which is a bacteria that is carried by mosquitoes and transferred into blood by mosquitoes. So in order to make a comment here, what I'm doing is I'm selecting part of a sentence or a whole sentence, and you'll see on the side here, there's a little plus sign, so I can press that. Another way to do it, now I see some people are sort of interacting with the text. I want to ask you to just wait, okay? You can also press Control and click, and you get a menu here. There are a couple ways to get to your comment, but as soon as you press comment, you have this nice little bubble to make your comments. So I'm going to use maybe my first prompt. I am very surprised that dogs are able to smell something that is inside the human body. Okay, I make my comment, and somebody can then reply. Okay, I'm replying to myself, but once we have more people in these documents, you will be able to reply to each other. I might just say, this was shocking. Oops, shocking to me too. All right, maybe that's not the not the best response, but you can see how that works, okay? Now, looking down here, wow, okay, well, here's a really complicated science word. I don't know that one. So I'm gonna just make a comment on it. I'm gonna put my 3 question marks here. And I'll come back to that, and I'll keep reading, but I'll come back and I'll see if maybe someone in my group can give me a little bit of information about what that means, since I need help with that one. Okay. So I'm going to go back to Zoom. I'm going to go. I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to my slides, and I'm going to give you your prompts again. Those 5 annotation prompts. I was surprised that. I want to know, I already knew these prompts. And I want you to use them as the sentence starters for your comments here, okay? You should have in your email a link to one of these documents. So please look there first. If you did not receive an email, or you joined the session late, I'm going to put some links in the Zoom chat, okay? But those are only for people that did not get an email, because I want to make sure we have even numbers in each group, okay? I'm going to first post those links, and then I will put the prompts up on the screen. Okay, I'm also going to send you those 5 prompts on WhatsApp so you can look at them on your phone, okay? Okay, I just sent one of the Google links for people that did not get an email. That is in the group chat right now. So if you did not get an email, you can click on one of those links. And now I'm putting these prompts back up on the screen for you so that you can use them. I am surprised that I already knew that. This means I want to know, or unknown vocabulary. I'm also sending you these on WhatsApp right now. So you guys can get started making some comments. And I'll be watching these 4 articles, and I'm happy to be seeing some comments popping up on them as we go. So guys, let's spend a few more minutes with this. Please make sure that you are reading the comments provided by your group mates, and give at least one response. Let's reply to each other's comments also. All right, guys, take about 1 more minute and read some of the comments, reply, and then we'll come back together as a group and discuss these articles. All right, guys. So I want to bring everybody back together now. The articles are from different levels here. So these articles are challenging in some parts, but let's talk about them as a group. Okay. We had 4 groups today, 4 different articles, and we've taken the time to read, we've taken the time to make comments and reply to our group mates. And I use this as a sort of first step for conversation. This is something that can be done during class time. This is something that can be done in between classes as sort of a homework assignment. But what I like about this is that it gives students the time to read, to think, to express their ideas without being afraid of interrupting each other, without all of the internet problems that we sometimes have on Zoom, and without all of these other pressures that we sometimes have on Zoom. And that's the same thing for the way we used WhatsApp before. It gives students what we call think time, right? Time to think, time to share, time to reflect. And now we are back together and we can have a group conversation. We're going to do this as a big group right now. But what I would encourage you to do is, if you have a big group like this, you can go to breakout rooms, and that will automatically mix people from your Zoom session in small groups. And so you'll have people, in this case, we'll have people from every article, 1, 2, 3, and 4, together in small groups, and they can share what was in their article. Today, we'll just do it as a big group. So if we could have somebody, we'll start from the other side this time, okay? We'll start with group 4. Group 4, if you can tell us, if someone can just tell us what the topic of their article was, and then maybe use one of these annotation prompts to give us 1 or 2 comments. Okay, can I have a volunteer from group 4?
Okay, can I? Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
So the article in our group was about cancer, actually lung cancer. And we read that dogs, and particularly beagles, that they can sniff the lung cancer. There was an experiment and they were right with 97%. So I was surprised that dogs can actually discover something inside our body and discover something before doctors. So that was amazing.
Okay. So is there anything that you, thanks for your contribution. Is there anything that you want to know? I'm looking at this 4th prompt. Were there any sort of questions that got sparked by reading this article?
Yeah, actually, I would like to know if they can sniff some other types of cancer, like can they only sniff lung cancer or something else?
Okay. All right. Well, that's, you know, I think that's a great time to switch to group 3, because they might be able to add to that and answer that question. Can we have someone from group 3 come in and just tell us what your article was about and give us a few comments using the annotation prompts?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Let me share.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Great.
from group 3.
Okay.
I have skimmed 2 articles about dogs, and I want to use this annotation. I'm surprised to know that dogs can't only guard us, but also they can help us prevent the spread of the diseases or reveal the illness inside the body.
Okay, great. So the dogs can protect us from outside physical threats and also from threats inside our body.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us, you read article number 3, can you tell us what type of disease dogs were detecting or smelling in that article?
Malaria. I have just skimmed this article about malaria disease.
Okay, all right. So you read one of the malaria articles. Okay. Let's have someone else jump in from article number 2, which I think is the first malaria article. Can I have a volunteer from group 2?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Yeah.
Okay, I'm from group 2. Our article was also about detecting malaria. Just smelling the children's socks, dogs can detect the signs of disease. I was surprised that dogs can detect signs of diseases just smelling the piece of clothing. That was very strange to me. I've already known that dogs have extraordinary smelling abilities, skills, but that is strange, really strange. I want to know if using the dogs for these kind of things is ethical. For example, dogs also can catch those diseases, don't you think so? So I've questioned the article. I mean, findings of the article.
Yeah, that's a great question. I hadn't thought of that before. What are the ethics of using dogs in this way? Is it safe for the dogs? Is it you know, can we consider this abusive in any way of the dogs? That's a really interesting question. Now, guys, we're sort of moving very quickly through this. Of course, you know, I'm packing a couple different activities into a short time. So I just want to note that and encourage you to take these steps and expand them. Of course, you know, this conversation about these 4 articles could be, you know, a half an hour conversation in your classroom, and we are really, or more, and we're really sort of rushing through it. Let's talk to group number 1 also to hear from them and hear what they read. See if they had any other ideas we haven't heard yet. I'm sure there are many we haven't heard yet. Group 1, let's get a volunteer. Hello, anyone from group 1? Okay, well, is there anyone who would like to make a comment about any of the articles, 1, 2, 3, or 4 before we move on? Okay, sounds like we have a very young participant on the call too. That's good. So guys, I'll move on to the next activity. I hope that you will experiment with Google Docs in your practice, and also with annotation prompts, with these guided prompts for students to question and share and summarize as they read, because I find them extremely helpful and focusing for the readers. Okay, so yeah, as teachers, we're always asking, how does this help? You know, how does this help me as a teacher? How does this help my students? And I just want to make a few last points about annotation, using paper or using Google Docs like we have to do now with the pandemic. Okay, so you know, we have sort of, these are 2 options for reading, right? We have classic comprehension questions, which is sort of the old style, and we have annotation prompts. And with classic comprehension questions, you know, there is only one correct answer. And whenever there's one correct answer, it's always, you know, there's always that risk of one student and not giving the other students enough time to think about it themselves, or, you know, sometimes we have students copying answers from each other. With annotation prompts, there are many ways to contribute helpful pieces of information and connect with the text, so that ideas are unique and they can't really be copied, right? People are coming at this article with their own ideas. With classic comprehension questions, students are looking for information within the text only. It's almost as if the text is the only thing that matters. With annotation prompts, students are encouraged to generate new ideas, to ask questions. And again, I'm going to say, because I think this is so important, is to make connections to outside sources of information, prior knowledge or sort of current knowledge, right? I saw some comments on the Google Docs. People were curious, you know, if dogs can smell malaria on socks, or if dogs can detect cancer in the blood, would it be possible to train dogs to smell people who are infected with coronavirus? So encouraging students to do exactly that, to make connections outside to things that are real for us now. Okay, last, with classic comprehension questions, the teacher controls the learning experience and sort of decides what information is important. And of course, as teachers, we need to do some of that. But with annotation prompts, students share command of their learning experience. And that empowers our students, and it validates them and celebrates them as people who have their own sense of what is important. Okay. Does anybody have questions about annotation prompts or about Google Docs before we move to our final activity for today? Okay. All right, then I will move on to the last step here. What I'm going to do is we're going to go back to our WhatsApp protocol, and we're going to add a few pieces to it. I'm going to give you a prompt, which is going to actually be a video today that you'll watch, some academic vocabulary, and we're going to be using WhatsApp. So I'll give you a few slides just to show you an example. This is from a lesson that I did in Petropavlovsk, not this past school year, but the school year before that. And this lesson was about climate change, global warming, and students in the United States who were protesting, and they were refusing to go to school on Fridays as a protest. And the purpose of this protest was to draw attention to the need to change laws and encourage politicians to pay more attention to what is happening to our planet and the ecology. So my first step, very similar to what we did last time, was a voice memo. So if we read here, this was the name of the class I was teaching, their WhatsApp name, Master Avengers. So I gave the directions here. I posted a prompt that they will answer in a voice message, okay? And then second, these students responded to each other using text, okay? And if we look at after reading these articles, the students answered one of these questions. Do you think the students are justified in striking? What other types of social action could affect environmental policy? Should the government find ways to discourage companies from creating emissions that increase global temperatures? Or is Kazakhstan connected to the climate crisis? The next thing you'll see is a word list. And these were words that were in the articles we read. And I put these words here because I expect students to use them in their answers. When they are answering one of these questions, I want them to use this vocabulary again. This is vocabulary that we saw in the article. We talked a little bit about it in class. So these students are familiar, but the words are still new. And as you all know, vocabulary is all about repetition hearing it used, trying it out for yourself many times. And when we have many students using these words in their own unique answers, we hear them again and again and again, and it really helps them to stick. So in our next activity, you will have a prompt, and you will also have a vocabulary list, okay? We don't have time to review the vocabulary or to talk about it. I think for most of you, the words will be words you've seen before, but I just want you to, I want you to try to use them in your voice message and also in your text reply, okay? So again, what this was going to look like is we have students who record their answers to the prompts using the vocabulary. And then we have these responses. Okay, and you can see that Camilla here was very specific about her response, and I can really see as a teacher that she was listening to her classmates. In these responses here, you can see I circled some of the words that were on the vocabulary list. So students are listening to those words in the comments of their classmates, and they're also using them again in their replies. Okay, so we just get a lot of repetition of those words, and it really helps to lock them in. Okay, now I'm gonna have you guys try this, and we're going to WhatsApp. You'll need to give me just a moment to forward this out to your group. You're going to see that the prompts are connected to a video. Now, we have about 15 minutes left. The video is like 6 minutes. So you're gonna watch the video, think about the prompt, record a prompt. Hopefully you'll have time to respond, and we'll have, just a couple minutes at the end to come back together and talk as a sort of final conversation, which is always my last step in these discussion protocols. Okay, so stand by and watch your WhatsApp. You're going to get all the pieces, all the instruction there. First, watch the video, answer the prompt, use the vocabulary, record, and then reply to each other. All right, I'll send these out right now. Okay, so I have sent out all of the information you need onto WhatsApp. Please take a minute, mute your mic so that you can listen to the video. I hope you enjoy the video. This is from a great series on a website called Edutopia. There are more videos like it on YouTube that show you different schools that all over the world. Take a minute, watch the video, and then we'll start recording voice. And guys, I just want to make sure that the video starts from the beginning. Make sure that you're watching it all the way from the beginning, okay? Thanks. And once again, just a reminder, first, we're doing voice recordings, answering one of the questions, the prompt questions, and then we'll be responding to each other with a text response. take one more minute, guys, just to listen and reply to people in your group, and then we'll come back and wrap up. Okay, take one more minute.
Надо, короче, скинуть. Вот это. Копировать.
All right, guys, let's come back together onto Zoom. I can see there's a lot of conversation happening in these WhatsApp groups, and I encourage you guys, if you want to continue with this conversation after the Zoom session ends, go for it. And there are many more of these videos online from Edutopia. We have actually 2 minutes left in the session, and in a moment I'll take any questions that anybody has. But I just want to close by reminding people of my philosophy with these tools that we're using in combination with Zoom. For me, the big two words are think time. We saw with Google Docs, we saw with WhatsApp, that this first step in conversation gives students the opportunity to think, to read, to watch, to listen, to think before they contribute, before they come to a bigger conversation with the group. It gives them a chance to help each other understand. And it's happening like a conversation, but there's more than one conversation happening at the same time. We can have more than one person speaking at the same time. We can have people listening to different people. So it allows for people to learn a little bit more on their own schedule and in their own time. It allows them to be comfortable so that they don't feel that they are interrupting someone. And it takes the pressure off of students that are shy. It also allows teachers it gives us a very powerful assessment tool, because everything you have done today on WhatsApp, everything you have done today on Google Docs, I have a record of as a teacher. So I can now go and I can look at what was happening in each of these conversations. I can think about how to plan for the next lesson. I can see what confusion students have about content or vocabulary. And I can give group feedback, or I can give individual feedback. Of course, these are steps that are first step for conversation. And we can discuss some of these ideas from our readings or from our videos as a group or in breakout groups after. We are now actually just over our time limit. If there are any questions that you guys have, I can take maybe 1 or 2 questions now. And but you also do have my email. I sent you all an email with links. So please feel free to contact me at that email, mravitepfer@gmail.com, if you have questions about this session. Okay. I'm also going to put the link for this. Excuse me. I'm going to put the link for this slideshow in the chat so that you're able to view the slideshow later if you would like. Okay, I'll do that right now. But if we do have any questions, people are welcome to jump on and ask questions now.
Can I speak out right now?
Yeah, questions or comments, of course. Yeah.
Frankly, I would like to start with many thanks for your job. It was quite resourceful for all of us. I think it takes time. If to go back to the video, the experience that implemented in Singapore can be successful in Kazakhstan as well, I do believe. And if we guide it right with an expert, language expert like you do, I think this process can be go smoothly and easily. Thanks a bunch. I'm from Karaganda City, a university teacher, and I hope I can join your groups or follow up your communities. Many thanks, and thanks for your brilliant ideas to use Google Docs. And I got confused, as you see, on the chat on WhatsApp first, while it's much easier when you watch at a time and text, but to give recordings, audio replies, it's a bit confusing. Of course, I understand that due to the remote session, we need to keep up with the time, but I guess all the members today were happy to see, and this way this kind of interaction rather helpful. So I guess that's all.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Elmira. And what I want to encourage you guys to take what you've seen here today, take what you think you can use, but also do your own experiments with this. These are Google Docs is something that was not designed for educators originally. WhatsApp is not something that is designed for education, but we can bring them in. And I've given you a few ideas today, but we've got 85 people in the room that are going to come up with their own ideas. So I encourage you to share those ideas. There are going to be new ways that we can think of to use these same platforms. It's not really just about the app, it's about the sort of the steps you lay out for your students. So yeah, think about it. Elmira, you mentioned the voice messaging, and it's tempting to use text a lot in remote situations. It's very, it's easy to see the text. You don't have to click into it and listen. But we need to keep our students' speaking practice up during this time. They're locked up. They're in the house. They're not getting as much speaking practice. And even though making a voice recording is not the same as looking into, your classmates' eyes and speaking directly to them, it is practice, and it definitely that I also did not. Some of your shyer students might want to record 1, 2, 3 times before they get a recording that they're happy with and that they feel like they want to share, and that's actually a great thing, because that student has gotten 3 times the practice in speaking. So it actually gives us a lot of opportunity for that speaking practice. Guys, I hope we'll have more sessions in the future, and we'll certainly, AC will definitely let you know. Again, you have my email if there are any questions about this session. And if you look up in the chat, you'll see the share link for the Google Slides I was using today. And I think since we're a little bit over time, unless anyone has any super urgent comments, I think we'll end for the day and see you guys next time. All right.
Thank you very much, Avi. And dear participants, thank you very much for joining today's our session. We hope you have learned many useful things and will apply them in practice. And also, please click the link to complete the survey on today's event. It will help us improve our quality of our programs, and also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube channels.
All right, guys. Thanks again for joining. And see you next time. Stay safe, everybody, okay? Bye.